Even though I've only just seen My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, it has got to be one of my all-time favorites. But like any good show, it generates a lot of questions like, how old is Granny Smith? Or why does Mare dye her mane gray? Or why did Twilight Sparkle turn into an Alicorn? Now, before I even watched the show, I saw the trailer for the new My Little Pony movie that was coming out, and in it, Twilight introduces herself as a princess. So when going into the show, I assumed that it was going to be a multiple season character arc. And it seemed like that was going to be the case too. Just in the episodes Crystal Empire and Magic Duel, they started introducing some very interesting things, such as the Alicorn Amulet, which Trixie used to defeat Twilight, and various elements and scenes in the Crystal Empire, which we'll get back to later. But then DHX had a budget cut and they had to wrap everything up in one quick musical to where we never actually got an answer to why or how Twilight got her wings and became a princess. And so I started trying to find answers, but what everyone just seems to assume is that either Celestia or Star Swirl's spell turned Twilight into an Alicorn, but neither made any sense to me. I honestly don't believe it was Celestia because, well, first off, in the scene, you don't actually see her using any magic. And secondly, in my search for the truth, I turned to the novels, and in the book Twilight Sparkle and the Crystal Heart spell, when soon-to-be Princess Cadence made her transformation to an Alicorn, Celestia isn't anywhere to be found. And as for the spell, well, it's uncompleted and didn't seem to have a practical use, you know, besides just screwing everything up. And so in order to properly understand Twilight Sparkle's journey to Alicornhood, I looked to the other three known Alicorns of Equestria, Celestia, Luna, and of course Cadence. I didn't find out that much from the two sisters because honestly, we just don't know that much about them. So I turned to my last option, Princess Cadence, and then I made some very interesting discoveries. In the beginning of season 6, Cadence and Shining Armor have a child by the name of Flurry Heart, and she's a freaking Alicorn! Suddenly, everything made sense! Alicorns aren't made, they're born!
The birth of an Alicorn is something Equestria has never seen.
It is beyond even our understanding.
Well, what I found is
But I thought Alicorn Wings had to be earned by accomplishing some great princess-worthy deed.
well, if you would just let me talk for a...
How can you just be born with them?
Anyone else? What the birth of Flurry Heart does is prove everything we thought we knew about Alicorns wrong, because in order for her to be a born Alicorn, either her mother or father would have to have the proper genetic. Because if you just glue wings on somebody's back, that doesn't change their DNA. Now, let's look at Cadence herself. Is there anything linking her to Alicorns? Cadence started out life as a Pegasus, and it's been said by the creators of the show that she's a distant descendant of the former ruler of the Crystal Empire, Princess Amore, and she's even recognized as such by one of the Crystal Ponies.
Who is that?
Behold, the Crystal Princess!
It's unknown whether or not Princess Amore was an Alicorn, but we can almost safely assume that she was because Princess seems to be a title reserved for Alicorns. But even if she wasn't, that's not important. What is important is that somewhere in Cadence's family tree, there has to be an Alicorn. I mean, Flurry Heart is proof of this. And if Cadence was an Alicorn due to her family heritage, then we must assume the same of Twilight Sparkle. Now, before you try and discredit me, there is actually evidence for this. First off, Alicorns are extremely powerful, and so is Twilight even before she transformed. We've seen Twilight perform some amazing spells that we haven't seen any other unicorn accomplish, not even Starlight. Examples, of course, being in season 3, she blasts her treehouse into the air out of pure frustration, and in season 1, she levitates an Ursa Minor through the air while manipulating the wind to sing it to sleep, and then floats it all the way back to its cave. And that's not all. In season 4, she's given a potion by Zecora that only responds to Alicorn magic. Now, does that look familiar to anyone else? It's the same magic used back in the Crystal Empire by none other than Twilight, showing that she was blatantly using Alicorn magic before she even became one. And she's not the only member of her family that shows great power. Her brother, Shining Armor, projects a shield charm over all of Canterlot and maintains it for weeks on end, only suffering migraines from it. All this pretty much proves that her family has Alicorn blood in it. That's why Twilight became an Alicorn.
But I thought Alicorn Wings had to be earned by accomplishing some great princess-worthy deed.
Yes, you do, but it's not like earning a high school diploma. Since Alicorns are basically gods, it would make sense that only the pure of heart could achieve that form, even if it is in their family. And the performance of great deeds would activate the genetic and result in the transformation. And the transformation itself takes place because Alicorns are very powerful beings, and I don't think that just any pony could handle the full extent of an Alicorn's power without being destroyed. And that is why Twilight ended up in this spirit-like realm, because her unicorn form couldn't handle the new power she'd unlocked, so she took her true form of an Alicorn. You even see this happen when the power that transforms her comes from her heart and nowhere else. And I'm not just making this form-changing stuff up either. I mean, when Tyrk starts his crusade against Equestria, he had to steal all the magic from every Pegasus, Earth Pony, and Unicorn before he could even try to steal the Alicorn magic. And when he finally does steal it, he appears to be in a lot of pain, and he gets huge, changing form to best suit his new power. So let's review the evidence. The addition of Flurry Heart proves that Alicorns are a species and not just a magical mutation, and since both her parents are pretty much Alicorns, it now makes sense why she was born an Alicorn. And Twilight is seen using Alicorn magic before her transformation, and seemingly only Alicorns can naturally control Alicorn magic. There you have it, the greatest mystery in equestrian history solved. Make sure to like and subscribe, and if you have a comment or just want to talk to us, you can head on over to our forums, link in the description below. And you've been watching the Photon Network.